Um, I believe we're probably holding questions to the end just to watch for the technical difficulties for having some of the audio going on in advance here. So thank you again for the opportunity to come and speak to this group this evening. Really looking forward to it. So hold those questions. I will be available for as long as you need me this evening to ask and answer some of those questions. So we're going to just go through a little bit about who is Associated Bank, who the heck is this Brenda Griep talking to you this evening, and what are some career opportunities that potentially could be afforded to you all with Associated Bank. So a little bit about myself. I joined Associated almost 11 years ago. In fact, I have my work anniversary next week. I started with Associated Bank as a project manager, reporting up to a director in our IT organization. I have grown throughout the organization in the last 10, 11 years. Really, some of that is by my own fruition. Others is really what the job is that we make of it. So I want to talk to you tonight about, maybe how to get ahead in some of those opportunities here at Associated Bank. So other roles I have held here after I was a project manager, I really transitioned to what we call the EPO manager. And the EPO office, the Enterprise Project Office, is really who kind of right sizes our own project management methodology for the bank. You can have a lot of education training around project management, but it's also got to fit and be right for your organization. So I became the manager who kind of works through, analyzes, and adjusts as we navigate through many of our IT projects, most specifically. Enhance from there, I had the opportunity to also facilitate and own and be accountable for the operations and technology portfolio of projects. So it's really twofold. Our CIO owns the technology portion of Associated Bank, but also a couple hundred colleagues in our back office operations space. So when you think of banking, think about, how do your deposits come to fruition? How do we process those wires? How do we transfer those ACH funds? How does my commercial loan get booked and serviced? So many of those are really in our back office operations space. So that's a couple hundred colleagues that we also have reporting to our CIO today. My last role was the Enterprise Project Management Office Director. And that is then the consolidation of many of the line of business portfolios. So while I had the opportunity to facilitate through the ops and tech portfolio, our commercial business segment, our retail business segment, all of our support units, whether it be HR, finance, corporate risk, wealth management, et cetera, they also have IT needs and project management needs. So what we had done was consolidate all the lines of business portfolios under the EPMO. We also ran our acquisition office. As for some of you who may or may not know Associated Bank, we have done a couple acquisitions as well, both through bank and branch acquisitions. We'll give a little flavor of who is Associated Bank here shortly. Last fall then, I really grew into an opportunity that I'm still learning every day. I now actually manage and lead that bank operations space of a couple hundred colleagues, as well as the enterprise project management portfolio. And a whole host of team members that assist with that for sure. I'm also actively engaged in a couple of our colleague resource groups, most specifically our women's network, as well as young professionals. So you don't have to be a woman just to join the women's network, much like our military CRG as well. You don't have to be a member of our military branch either. So we have 8 different corporate colleague resource groups that we support here. My education is a little bit different than likely the backgrounds that you all are achieving and striving for. My education is actually in marketing as well as supervisory management. So again, let's talk a little bit of what we're going to cover here in the next 10 to 12 slides, and then we'll field some questions at the end and look for some open dialogue. So who is Associated Bank? So we are headquartered here in Green Bay. We have a total assets of about $34 billion, which makes us actually the largest bank holding company in the Midwest. So we are Wisconsin's largest. We serve 120 different communities, really throughout some of those green states you see with our branch footprint, Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota. And we have commercial financial offices where you see some of the lighter green states, Indiana, Michigan, Missouri, Ohio, and Texas. We do employ about 4,200 colleagues as of late, and we are the premier lender in the Midwest and have been for over a decade now. So that is one of the things that Associate Bank really strives to be is that premier financial service company throughout our own footprint and beyond. So I want to talk about the fun stuff now. Some opportunities in both technology as well as corporately across Associated Bank. So we've got a couple different trainee programs and internships that I'm going to talk to you about today. The first one is our corporate technology internship. We look at these programs as such a great and valuable opportunity to attract some of the bright young talents early on in your professional careers. So this one specifically is a 12-month rotational program. We do encourage this one for recent college grads with a strong interest in IT. We do rotations across some of the key areas you see with technology operations, which consists of everything from infrastructure, engineering, telecom, networking, information security, engineering, architecture, and business solutions. So think of business solutions as more of our application delivery. We have a whole host of applications that really run the bank operation. And the business solutions team or application service delivery teams are really who maintains those applications for us, ensuring it's not only on the latest architecture and infrastructure, but also through frequent releases, both hosted and not hosted, so we have the best, most robust functionality for our customers and our colleagues to work through. Participants who engage in this 12-month program go through a whole host of variety of structured tasks to learn the fundamentals in these four key areas and the disciplines of each one of them. You have the opportunity to navigate in day-to-day operations as you engage in the partnership lines of business here. We put you in positions within that are best suited for your individual strength, your professional interest. So even though we have a corporate trainee program, we're still able to learn more about the trainee going through this rotation and can analyze and adjust and tweak the program to meet both your individual strength and our career needs as well. So this is really important, and as we look to really build confidence in the corporate trainees that go through these rotations, aspire to achieve some new goals, explore some new alternatives as they really enter the workforce, and hopefully and ideally enter into some job satisfaction and effectiveness and develop into some career opportunities potentially within Associated Bank. And if not, you still are able to then create some networking opportunities with the individuals through this 12-month rotation. So what do you need to do? How do you apply? And where do we go from here? So really hitting some of the high level requirements. Again, we're really looking for associated degree or a bachelor's degree in the information technology space. I'm going to really broaden that also into our information security arena as well. So if you don't want to miss that opportunity, we did start our rotation or our hiring for that rotation last month, but it is not too late. Please go ahead and visit the associatedbank.com careers page. When you search trainee, the corporate internship, corporate technology trainee program will come up and you'll be able to apply from that perspective. Again, looking for those that have the education with the technical capabilities, but also those that are self-motivated, self-starters, really energetic, show a passion and desire in this space. That is going to be the individuals who are best suited for this platform, along with, of course, the problem solving, presentation skills, teamwork skills, and really somebody who's got some courage to go ahead and self-navigate. What you don't see on the slide here is those soft skills are really important as you navigate through any organization, but highly encouraged through Associated Bank. So the courage, the savviness, the ability to raise your hand, poke holes, ask those questions, and even create some effective challenge with the teams you work with and for, that typically then really just develops into the better, strong product and teamwork aspects that we look to strive for here with the bank. Another opportunity is a 12-week program, and that is our Associated Bank Internship program. So the first one was a 12-month, this one is a 12-week. You see the rotations through some of the lines of businesses here. This 12-week program provides really some learning activities through these 8 professional development areas: audit, consumer banking, commercial, etc. This one also starts their hiring practice in November. And we have had some fantastic candidates go through this program, many of which have gone on and retained employment with us for a longer term. So again, you see performances based on some of those key strengths we've talked about. And in this program, even post-program, we're really excited to offer the opportunity to kind of develop and customize potentially a longer-term relationship, of course, in conjunction with your school and your classroom work. So we look at those high-performing sophomore, juniors, and seniors. So we can work with your school schedules to continue on post the 12-week program. So those 12 weeks are very critical. It is definitely what you make of it and learn in these respective areas, because the engagement and the partnership can continue post the 12 weeks. Let's see here. I don't think I put on the slide. Really, we're looking at those pursuing a bachelor's degree, looking for those preferred with a 3.0 grade point average and higher. And again, many of those same self-starter, motivated, those with a professional interest and high desire, energetic individuals are really encouraged for this 12-week program as well. The last program I'm going to talk to you about today is more in the information security space. So this is another internship opportunity where annually we have been able to seek 2 part-time folks to contribute to a variety of our projects. This one is more in regards to the 15 to 20 hours a week. And again, extremely flexible during your academic year, but then look to go full-time from that summer perspective. Again, if you're still pursuing some of your academics during your summer months, though, we are more than flexible to not have that go full-time as well as you do some of your academic learnings throughout the summer. On this one, we're really pursuing somebody who is looking at that information security, cybersecurity space. Again, a lot of the same disciplines: self-starters, self-motivators, those who have some high-performing potential, creating some of that passion and desire in this space are really the folks that we are going to encourage to apply here. And similarly, that is at associatedbank.com for careers. And again, growth opportunities, as we have indeed hired our past interns for longer term full-time positions with Associated Bank, some of who are still with us for more than 5 years. So we started this program some years back, and we've got colleagues who have retained employment with Associated Bank for some time. Those are 3 really good examples of opportunities I'm hoping that you can take advantage of and potentially pursue your careers here at Associated Bank. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about, what happens after employment. Associated Bank really does a good job in regards to commitment to continuously developing that talent. So I know one of the things I was able to talk to the officers about was, what do we look at for certifications? How do we continue to evolve? And that is the one thing that actually sparked a lot of dialogue with myself and a lot of my IT director peers that report to the CIO as I do. And we're really interested in those who are invested in their own continuous learning. So definitely your academics are important, but we also look to do a commitment and a partnership to, potentially pay for any of that future schooling, pay for those additional certifications as we find your niche here at Associated Bank. So we continue to invest through open doors and channels of communication. One of the things to show that we invest is that we have looked across our lines of business here at the bank and have asked for talent development champions. I actually am one of them for our ops and tech space. And what we do is we collaborate across the business units where the talent development champions meet with a member of our HR individual. She really reins us in, and we talk about what are our needs respectively across the lines of business. What are opportunities that maybe one business segment might be doing that others are not, and how do we really encourage continuous growth and development through class, through participation, through external educational opportunities, as well as what can we provide through our own talent development for that personal growth. We have really enhanced our library, if you will, through on-site as well as virtual learnings over the past 4 years. So again, we have, you know, we really allow capacity and opportunity through some of our talent development champions to meet with others in the organization, and then even work externally to go to young professionals, to go to colleges, to go to other military forums for those, re-engaging in the workforce. So we spend a lot of time and energy ensuring that we can hone in on some of those skills and really get additional talented individuals either entering the workforce for the first time or re-entering the workforce as well. So we believe the development into our colleagues is really crucial for our long-term success of the organization. And by that, it's increased productivity, it's increased teamwork, it's increased efficiency, stronger retention of our colleagues. We do invest a lot of training and opportunities in our colleagues. So attrition is something we value and really pay attention to, as well as our colleague engagement. What are the colleagues saying? What are important things to them? What are things we might have changed that maybe didn't change for the better? Let's listen to what that is and see what we can do to course correct. So again, really investing in a lot of virtual as well as instructor-led, self-paced learning, virtual learning, a whole host and variety of learning opportunities over and above continuous education and funding for some of that continuous education as well. It just shows some additional commitment to development. We do a lot of also hands-on practicing and learning through experience. So we have in the cybersecurity space and information technology and architecture and infrastructure, we have a lot of opportunities that do come upon us. Of course, we have our own internal incidents that happen to occur, and we've got real-time engagement by the folks, not only to fix the issue and come to resolution, but then do some post-incident reviews. How do we learn from it? How do we mitigate it? We kind of do some desktop, and tabletop walkthrough exercises, more in post-incident, as well as when we go to deploy a new application or that next upgrade for an application, or as we embark on some of the innovative, more modern solutions, we'll do mocks of them. We'll do tabletop exercises. We'll do weekend activities simulating some of these items. So you get that real-time exposure and experience, sometimes pre something going into implementation, as well as post with those post-incident reviews, or in some cases too, just practicing our own reaction to different attack and simulations. And we do that actually throughout the organization, not only in IT, we actually have one coming up with our executive leadership team that we are going to be doing some simulation too. So we do it within lines of businesses, we do it with our executive team, and we do it quite often in our information security and our IT space, just to keep our staff trained, refreshed, and continuously polishing up and looking for better ways to do it. Security threats and outlook. So I'm not going to pretend to be your chief information security officer. I will leave that to our CISO. But some of the things he did want to share here is the threats continue to become more complex daily. So we've got to be one step ahead of our our criminals out there. So they do a lot of investigation, research, peer partnering, through a lot of coalitions with peer banks, as well as banks a little bit larger size than Associated Bank, because we do aspire to grow. So we want to be also ready for scalability of our information security, our cyberware, and really be comprised of what are things that we might not be dealing with today with our bank size, but what are the larger banks and institutions worried about, what keeps them up at night, and really be prepared and partner and build our network so that as they go through a threat, we will, of course, allow them to go through mitigation. But in many cases, we'll then reach out post just to understand how was it detected, who detected, what are you putting into place, previous and post, and then what do we have to safeguard our information, our customers' data, our colleague data, just to safeguard it from any continued compromise from that perspective. And then technology challenges. So this one's interesting, and I think we are really embarking upon some new technology challenges here at the bank as we are moving into some more modern platforms. So some of our core banking institution platforms and switching those out to maybe more modern, robust solutions, navigating away from our own hosted solutions and into the cloud and other cloud native opportunities. So some of our platforms are a little bit stale and archaic. So we're looking to shift some of those services to cloud software, other hosted applications, and spending a lot of time understanding some of those modern capabilities, but how to also safeguard it as we expose more to the cloud, as we expose more of our data, as well as navigate away from our own legacy technologies and into the more robust API, AWS services. So we're really embarking upon that right now and investing in our colleagues to do so. And even in IT and technology, continuously understanding, are we organized right to support our business? Are we organized right to support our applications? We're likely, because we're a bank, always going to have some form of applications that is just the off the shelf. But there are going to be those that we choose that more modern, but also spend some time further developing interfaces and add-on customizations so that we can bring further functionality to our colleagues and our customers that we serve. And also, of course, I think as we're navigating the new normal, like any other organization, college, institution, you name it, we've got some pre and post COVID exercises and some stats here. So when we look at about our 4,200 colleague base, 29% of our colleagues were really laptop, so call it mobile equipped, when the vast majority, almost 3/4 of our colleagues, were really confined to their desktop. So when we had disaster recoveries, we literally had physical brick and mortar sites that were our disaster recovery spaces. We kept the equipment updated, security patched, facilities updated, because we had to have, somewhere else, should a building be under disaster or an area that folks could be navigated and moved to. So, of course, much of that has changed with the, during COVID and then call it post-COVID. I know we're still going through it, where we really took the opportunity and in a very short time frame, we did have to equip a lot of our colleagues with laptop and mobile equipment. Now, some of that was easy as we did have some inventory as we thought we had a trajectory to replace our desktops with laptops. So thankfully, when COVID really hit, we did have some inventory where we could deploy pretty quickly in a work from home and remote environment. Today, we now have just about half of our colleague base equipped with laptops, while the others are still desktop mobile. Now, it doesn't mean, or desktop, doesn't mean those with a desktop are sitting in the brick and mortar offices, as when we did go to the remote environment, we literally packed up some folks' true PCs and we shipped them home with their dual monitors, with their mouse, with everything. So these boxes that we were navigating people with at home, that is the case. So we still have much of our workforce in a work from home or work from remote situation that isn't mobile. If they have to come back to the office because they aren't equipped with a laptop, they have those large PCs. So we did have some hotel cubing and travel offices, of course, and cubicles that they can reserve. Now we are transitioning back come November 1st, so 1 month away from our new work arrangement perspective. So while we continue to invest in laptops for our colleagues, and there will be a point in time in the years to come that we will all be laptop equipped, that'll take a little time. And right now, with lead times of laptop and some of this equipment, it's actually a little bit longer. I mean, we are upwards of 6, 9, and 12 months sometimes now from ordering our standard laptop equipment. So we are having to put our orders in there pretty well in advance. So shifting to new technology, shifting to personas, we took a lot of time and opportunity to understand what is the equipment needs by our different personas. Are you a road warrior? Do you go out to some of our commercial banking? Are you constantly traveling? What do you need for your equipment? Versus, are you that stationary, whether it's home or in an office? Unfortunately, there are some of our functions that have to remain in the office. I think it goes without saying that our branch personnel are definitely at our branch locations. But some of our back office staff, there are things we have to do on paper. There are things in our filing room we still do have, even though it is, 2021, that we have to maintain. So we really had to take a look at some of our job personas that I have listed here and really understand the technology needs of those individuals, as well as the mobile aspect of it. So today we're about half and half, colleagues with laptops versus desktops. But again, going forward, we are moving them all to a laptop mobile perspective, even if they're going to be remaining work from home for the long term. So going forward, you can see our blended environments. We are really doing a combination of folks that work 100% remote, those that work a combination or hybrid of remote, which just really means that they're still, majority of their time is outside of the brick and mortar buildings. We also have a hybrid, of which is still a combination of remote and office, but a little bit more of their time is going to be spent in office. And then, of course, those are fully office based. That 40% number isn't mean to, scare people from applying here at Associated Bank. A lot of those are really our branch personnel that for the service of our brick and mortar branches, they have to be office equipped and stationed. So that was really a little bit about 3 different opportunities with Associated Bank through our corporate trainee, our technology trainee, and our information security, InfoSec internship program, as well as just a little taste of, who is Associated Bank to the greater Green Bay and Midwest area. Hopefully we're your bank of choice as well, but really want to speak to you today of it's really a great place to work. I've been here for 11 years, not desiring right now to move outside of it. And I actually came from healthcare. So I worked with another local company with United Healthcare. So I am a pretty good journey and a testament to you don't necessarily have to know everything by the time you start here at Associated Bank. I will tell you, when I did my schooling, I was a bank teller for a different organization, not Associated Bank, but that was really my exposure to banking. And then spent 18 years in the insurance industry, and then came over to Associated Bank, sitting in the IT realm. And there are many times where I will tell my peers I'm one of the least technical people in the room when I take a look at their background, their certifications. Our CISO, our Chief Information Security Officer, also reports to my boss as the CIO. So I'm amongst pretty good technology and information savvy friends. So they bear with me. But again, I think I can hold my own throughout my journey. And just again, I will encourage you not only from your academics, which are extremely important, but as you grow into your own individual in the professional world, I'm going to tell you to be courageous, be savvy, hold yourself to some high standards and metrics. Don't ever be afraid to ask those questions. There's likely somebody else in the room that has those same questions. So raise your hand and operate with a little bit of encouragement and aspire. So with that, I will pause now that I've gone through 20, 30 minutes of a presentation and just see what kind of questions, comments you have that I can answer today. Thank you for the applause. I don't know if we're going to get any feedback if the room turns off the mic. So whether there's a chat or we want to field any questions, I'm here and available as well as post.
So I have a question. So when you're when Associated Bank is like placing individuals in the different key areas, technology, operations, and information security and whatnot, what is the flexibility in like moving between areas or interfacing between them, as their strengths are discovered or interests change?
Yeah, great question. I think that was Cody. So fantastic question. I'm going to say hi. So what will happen is, hopefully, right? Some of you are successful in applying for one or many of the internships, and as we find your areas of strength and or opportunities, we'll try to navigate. We absolutely want to expose you, especially in those 12-week and 12-month rotations we talk about. We want to expose you to quite a bit, but we'll also start to understand and coach through where your heart and passion is, as well as where there's some opportunities in our perspective. So we've done a really great thing even in some of the technology internships we've done, where even through the equal sequencing and rotations, if there was an area that had a huge need and one of our interns made a large impact, we will still try to expose them to those other areas, but that timing may not be split equally, and we can then navigate back perhaps to get to that next layer with the individual, or to allow them to continue on with some real life and real hands-on items they've been. So you'll have a partner through your internship that coaches and navigates you through, that you'll be able to kind of talk about, hey, this area, it's not really for me, and here's why. Let's try to still get you some of that knowledge. But again, if there was another area that piques your interest more, we are absolutely willing to partner and spend more time with you in those respective areas. Still want to try to round you out, but it's absolutely two-way street. We want to make it a win for you as the internship or the corporate trainee, but also a win for us for longer term.
Okay, great. And I have another question. Uh,
Sure.
so as far as like working remotely, so what kinds of like results have come from that as far as like employee efficiency, and implications that have been surrounding that, or like, maybe feed their feedback. Do they enjoy it, or are they just content with it? Is it a bad experience for them?
Yeah, great question again, Cody. So, from that aspect, it's interesting because having that full back office operation and some of our individuals going remote, some of that we didn't necessarily have, I'll call it productivity or efficiency metrics to see how it was going. We definitely went into the COVID remote aspect pretty hands-on, pretty visual. So we've got, again, our laptops are equipped with the camera. We encourage really that camera use just to still keep some of that personal connection. And then those that have a desktop, we did some pretty massive orderings of some of the cameras, again, just in attempts to keep that personal connection. But our team who don't necessarily have that reporting, but still have a job to do, they've gotten savvy throughout the whole COVID experience. A lot of them start out their days with team group chats, understanding the work at hand for the day. Some of them have deadlines that occur throughout an interval throughout the day. So there's a lot of group chats that have been set up from that perspective. There are, of course, metrics from the sales aspects, that take a look, are we as productive as we were prior to, things of that nature. We also do annual colleague engagement surveys. We actually just concluded one earlier this month, and the results are supposed to be in next week. So I'm very anxious because this would be a whole year, kind of having that remote and folks, dispersed, if you will, throughout our footprint and beyond. So we also have folks working outside of our footprint, as long as, of course, we, have all the appropriate paperwork and payroll and tax implications for the states they're working in. So I am very excited to see what the colleague engagement scores might be, and how that breaks up, especially in this virtual world. So can't give you if that's been going up or down, but I can tell you, especially having a couple hundred colleagues, it's something that we do, skip levels for. So I deal with some of my management team, the next layer down, just actually driving into a layer down from that to understand what their experiences have been. What do they miss? It was absolutely a transition for us all. So we're hearing good, we're hearing bad. Now it's really just stepping back and understanding some of those key themes to react to the right items. But individually, I always encourage any of my staff members to reach out to their leaders if there's any struggles, whether it be technology. And I would say for the first 6 months, there was technology challenge, there was internet bandwidth challenge. I'm sure some areas are still dealing with that. And as we deploy more from home because their job role allows that, we're going through some of those challenges again, more in an individual or smaller group basis. So I'm anxious to see, but we do invest and do an annual colleague engagement score. But we do things such as skip levels to really understand and keep the pulse of what are our colleagues enduring, what's working, what's not working. We did have a new president. He started late April with us, and he really did a call it 100-day of listening tour, meeting with similar job groups, communities, different departmental individuals, and just understanding, what's working well here at the bank and what's not. So he really wanted to get the pulse from the people, and he met with a couple hundred different people, and he also encouraged his executive leadership team of 12 to do their own skip levels. It's something many of us were previously doing, but we're actually consolidating, theming some of that feedback to hopefully react to the right things going forward. So there's a lot of opportunities, colleague, to raise your hand if something is working well and maybe not working so well, so we can hear that and analyze and adjust.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, Brenda, can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. The in-person people, we have a question.
Sure.
Obviously, as you said, you guys get targeted with a lot of cybersecurity things like ransomware and all this stuff because you're a bank. So how do you train employees who aren't in the IT industry? How do you train those employees on taking good cybersecurity measures?
Great question. I love it. So Annie and those in the room and others in the phone. So many different exercises. So we actually have some required training, and some of the tutorials our information security team has developed. So that is a required annual training just to continue to refresh, analyze, and adjust. I will also tell you that we do our own exercises. So our information security team will do the phishing emails, and we'll do very set tests, if you will, out there. So we do record those, and we do also take them pretty seriously. So if you were one of those individuals that unfortunately, even though you might have gotten a big disclaimer on the top that this email is coming from outside Associated Bank, but you still chose to click on one of those, gift cards or something that actually looks like a real DocuSign to sign, things like that. We unfortunately or fortunately have a 3-strike rule. So the first time that happens, all of our tests are tracked. You will know if you clicked on it inherently. You will then have to do additional training. And then we also keep track of that, where it's a 3-strike rule. If you do that 3 times in 6 months, we have no choice but to separate your employment. So we take it pretty seriously, but we do our own type of phishing, in addition to, of course, our annual training and continued training. That's one thing our CISO does with his leadership team, is get out there pretty frequently and pretty often for reminders and training, and then, of course, tests just to see how those are going for us.
Thank you. That's super interesting.
You bet. Any other questions in the room or on the phone? All right, awesome. Well, again, I know that Annie, Taylor, and Linda all have this presentation. Feel free to share it, especially with, the links of how to apply for some of those opportunities now and in the future. And I know you have my contact information too. So indeed, if something comes into WIT that you want to reach back out, don't hesitate to give me a call or send me an email, and I can be available for any follow-up questions.
Thanks, Brenda.
You are most welcome. Thank you again for the opportunity to chat with you all tonight.
Yes, thank you so much.
Bye. Have a good evening.
Bye, Brenda. Before some of the students leave, I also want to just mention that Brenda's colleague will be at the in-person job fair on September 30th to be able specifically to talk more about the opportunities that she talked about. I don't see that they're doing the virtual fair yet. So for some unknown reason, they haven't registered for that, okay?
Cool. Well, that was lovely to hear from Brenda. I thought the 3-strike rule was pretty darn cool. We do some cybersecurity at my work, and it's definitely not as strict, but maybe it should be. All right, so while I'm pulling up our agenda, let the other people in. Yeah, by the way, now we're going to have just some Women in Tech organization topics. So if you'd like to stay around and join Women in Tech, we'd absolutely love you to join. But if you aren't interested in that, we're just going to be going through some of our organization agenda stuff. So stay if you'd like. You can leave if you don't want to. Let me pull up. Oh, yes, thank you. Ending the recording. Do I send the recording to you, Linda?